Are you catching this on the replay? Probably not, because I don't know if I'll leave this one up. Just a word of warning if anybody comes in. We'll leave this here. We got our light, which is doing a really good job. I'm going to change my duty status here in a second. We actually have some coffee, which probably isn't the most brilliant idea to have before I go to bed. We are getting unloaded, and just get plugged in. We'll see if anybody gets in here, and if not, I'll just talk to myself. No big deal. Right. There's my angry tiger. There's my echo chamber. 6 people in the video. Awesome. Awesome, awesome. So these late night ramblings, you know, with the short stuff I've been doing, I'm up late now. You know, I remember the good old days when I was at Schneider, I would pretty much be doing these open window appointments, and I was always working from 4 to 4, you know. But with these loads here, what I've been doing lately, and it's seasonal what I do. You know, there's a lot of things that are seasonal. Like this part of the year I'm doing this part of the year I'm doing this. And this time of year I'm doing up these late nights, but they're straight through deliveries. That's what I like about them. And then tomorrow I got a load picking up in St. Louis, open window, going to Joplin, Missouri. Got a pretty good rate for that one. Had to fight for a little bit. We'll talk about spot market. We'll talk about what I was talking about earlier about strategies and the local stuff. All right, sleeper birth save. All right, we'll get some new people in here and we'll do some shout outs, and I think that's it. I think we're good. Lock the door. We're in a bad neighborhood. You never know. We've got Joshua Richardson. Trucker for Life. Johnson Jobs. Daryl Worth. Good evening. Karen Anderson. Howdy Youngster. Lugnut. Artie yelling at the windshield. What's up? Tim Lipham. New sub. Thank you for subbing. I hope you enjoy my channel. Hey Haggy, hi folks, DIY Semi, good to see you in here. You've got 12 people, which is usually the par for the course for my late night ramblings, but you know, share this out if you want. Like I said, I don't know if this will stay up. My late night ramblings tend to be a lot of time wasted with a couple of nuggets thrown in. And sometimes we get not too political, but I'll say a few things that, you know, I generally keep to myself. But I'm glad you all are here. So the loads that I've been doing here lately are seasonal. And what do you mean by that? Well, they're this product that are used for Memorial Day flowers to be exact. And, you know, plastic flowers. So there's a place in Bolivar that ships these. And I tend to do these every year. I've been doing them since Landstar days. And then shortly after that, I'll do a lot of charcoal. I do a lot of charcoal coming either out of West Plains, Rolla, or Bell, Missouri, or Branson. Sometimes Branson. If I can not do the Branson one, that's kind of you know, the par for the course. Nothing. Where'd you get that tiger? It was something on a Facebook post that someone had. So I just screenshotted it. So nothing venture, nothing gain, right? Definitely like the channel. Well, thank you, Tim. A lot of things going on in the world today. I ordered a new tool, and it should be here or should be in my possession Saturday. I almost said Friday. Oh, it's only Wednesday. Maybe I will get it by Friday. I don't know. Depends. So we might have to stop by the house real quick to get it if I'm going to stay out all weekend. If you guys notice that, you guys remember that game, Where's Waldo? I think that's kind of what news is right now. News is the little bit of tiny truth in the big sea of people, the big sea of noise, right? And so you have to play Where's Waldo when it comes to truth in the news and all that. I thought I'd just put that out there. Right? Soon, hopefully, produce season will start, and that'll open up some more dry van volume. I noticed that a lot of the click and goes have lost their volume. It's kind of crazy. I've actually been having to make phone calls and stuff. Can you imagine that? And it seems like these brokers don't want to establish a relationship with you. In other words, like, for example, this load here. You would think that the guy'd be calling me every week. Hey, I've got that Bolivar load. I got that Bolivar load. I got that Bolivar load. But he doesn't like my price. But he has to go with it because he'll literally wait till the last minute. This load picked up at 3, or scheduled pick up at 3. And I booked it at like 10 o'clock this morning. And I emailed him. It's like, hey, do you still have this? Because I saw it was posted on the DAT board, but they're trying to undercut it by $200, which is why I don't think they really want me doing it, if they can help it. And so while I was at the shipper today, I overheard the shipping clerk say to the other person that there were 2 other trucks that were supposed to be here today, and they didn't show up. So, you would think, hey, I'm a reliable carrier that has been on time, giving you check calls. What are you going to do, right? I'm here being reliable for you, and you still won't call me, because maybe you don't like my price. I don't know. The other aspect is I'm hearing this line a lot. And RD, you can probably confirm this. How many of you that are booking your own freight talking to brokers have heard the line, yeah, man, we're going to take a loss at it, on this? Like, you're supposed to feel bad for that, right? If I call them and say, well, I'm going to take a loss if I take it for $1.60 a mile, or, for $600, they don't give a shit, right? They don't care. It's not my fault you don't know how to run your brokerage. So it's either BS to get you to feel sorry for them, a manipulation tactic, if you will, or they just don't know what the hell they're doing. And I hate that. I hate it when they go, well, that's all I got in it. Okay. Well, I still need this. Well, we're taking a loss on this. Well, that's not my problem. If you're constantly taking a loss on every single load that I'm doing for you, you've got issues. It's not my fault. How many times have you heard the drivers, they're the ones that control the rates, not the brokers? Well, that's me controlling the rate. That's me saying, hey, this is, and I'm not even like at the 30-day average a lot of times. I'm a little bit below, or I'm right on it. Well, we got to be $400 less. And it's not just me. Everybody I've been talking to that don't know each other have been seeing the same thing, seeing the same lines, seeing the same, under the 15, under the 30-day averages. Bad area, less sneaking around his truck. I wish. Find the news within the fake news, right? Lugnut, what's up, brother? Michael Dow, checking in with you. Grafton, how's it going? Little Viking Coach, Hammer. Have you hauled out of Royal Oak and West Plains? Yes, Artie, I have. Yeah, I hate emotional blackmail. Look, you know, what would a broker think if I got on the phone and was like, hey man, you know, I'm extending your load going from point A to point B. Okay, well, we've got like 600 in it. I'd be like, oh, 600. Well, I have a boat payment and the RV payment and my truck payment. You know, I've got a Schneider finance truck, so my truck payment's like $5,000, and I'm gonna take a loss if I take this load at $600 a day. I mean, is there any way that you can be at like, I don't know, 2,000? Because I really, really need. I mean, my costs are really high, and I'm not even like breaking even with six. I mean, it's going to cost me 600 in fuel just to do. I mean, you don't see me doing that, right? And how much would a broker love to work with you if you did that? If you pulled that crap? So don't pull it on me. It's like, look, I have trouble feeling sorry for the C.H. Robinsons and the TQLs when they say, well, we're taking a loss on it. Well, if you don't understand the volatility of your own market, then that's on you. That's not on me. That's like if I go, well, I need, you know, I once told a broker, you know, well, that's a 150-mile deadhead. And he's like, I didn't ask you to deadhead. Your deadhead's not my problem. I'm like, wow, okay. Touche. I took the load, so. Those clowns overloaded me with 46,000 pounds. Load was supposed to be 45. RD, the trick to the West Plains loads is you don't pick the 45,000 pound ones. You pick the 36,000 pound ones. Or, if you do pick a heavy one, make sure you're not going by the scales. Which that's hard in West Plains because you got the Kabul scale if you're heading east or north. Yeah, that is tough. But there at least there's a scale close by. For a while there wasn't. You got the scales in Kabul, so. But I've only loaded there a couple of times, and both times there are lighter loads. Branson, I don't suggest doing. The last load I did out of Branson Royal Oak was it was 45 and change. That was fun going up the hills. Oh, and I also got new tires. I don't know if you guys follow me on Instagram, I got new tires for the drives, and we'll see how they do. It's not a name brand, but we'll see what happens. But we live in a world where we're supposed to feel guilty about things that aren't within our control or about things that have happened in the past. If you're successful, you need to feel guilty. If you're not successful, you need to feel guilty. We're entitled. We're catered. We're, what's the word I'm looking for? We're coddled, I guess would be, not catered, coddled. I don't mind 45 and change as long as the change isn't more than 500. I could haul 46. Let's see what my empty weight is on my truck here. Pro tip. One day, fuel your truck up all the way and weigh it with an empty wagon and keep that scale ticket. My empty weight is 34,160. So 34,160, math time, 80,000 minus 34,160. I could haul 45,840. with full tank of fuel. That's why, like, you guys ever notice brick loads? Brick loads absolutely suck. And they're cheap. Sometimes they're only $1.20, $1.10 a mile on a good market. I don't know how bricks are even moved. Other than you got a carrier that's utilizing those loads to get back to its dedicated, moneymaker run. And if you're a flatbed, I especially don't see you, having the, usually you don't have to tarp bricks, but to tie them down, that seems like that surprises me, RD, that my truck is, I can only do, was that 300 something pounds more than you? It seems like my truck was lighter than that. Oh well. I know those big Volvos and like the Lone Stars, I think they're, you're lucky to get 44 on those trucks. In one of my live feeds, someone asked me about if I would have one of those ARI sleepers, and I was like, no, because half the stuff I pull is 45 and change, or 44 and change. My favorite weight of a load is like 32,000, because it's heavy enough to not get blown around if it's windy, but it's light enough that you pass everybody on the hills. Usually, depends. I've been thinking about a career change. Seriously thinking about getting into the industry, but don't know what would be a good company to start with. I don't have a CDL. All right, Tim, let's help you out here. There are starter companies that will help you get your CDL if you can pay for it yourself and go to a technical college or a city community college. That would be your best bet. What I did is I went to Ozarks Technical Institute, or no, college, and they don't have a program anymore. But when they did, I paid it with a credit card. It was like, I think it was like $2,800, something like that. Now it's a lot more now because that was over 10 years ago. And then I went to a company that hires fresh CDL people, and that was Transland out of Springfield. There are good starter companies and bad starter companies, and so, some of the better ones are Prime, CFI, in my opinion, just my opinion. And some of these places will pay for your school. So, Tim, it's smart that you're starting to ask about this kind of thing before the CDL. Yeah, I mean, do as much research. What do you do now, Tim? There's a lot of factors. There's a lot of, like, do you have a family? Is your wife on board with it? Do you have little kids at home? Are they bigger? Are you retired? Are you just wanting to change? Is it for money? Is it for freedom? Is it for both? Is it for, I mean, there's all these kinds of questions, so it's hard. I've thought about doing the membership thing like some of these other YouTubers have done, but you would get my number and I would kind of help a person find exactly what they might be looking for, because I have enough experience, and I can be a people person as far as reading people and what their needs are and everything else, and then kind of lead them in the right direction by, there are definitely some companies that I would avoid, but I won't say them publicly here because it's hearsay, and you don't want to put yourself out there for speaking wrong, because there are people that are successful at every company, and then there are people that are not successful at good companies. So it's just depends on your mindset. Why do you think flatbedder's favorite truck's extended hood, Pete? They are light. Well, yeah, I mean, you can do tanker and you can do flatbed with those long hoods because, you know, you can afford some weight. You're not worried about aerodynamics at that point. So it just depends on what your needs are. I'm switching to running gravel, soil, asphalt, etc. No more OTR, paying me more than OTR. Looking forward to staying home. Maria, I hope that works out for you. I thought about the dump truck route. There's a lot of quarries in my area. If you've been to the Springfield Caves, that was a quarry at one time. You know, as they were mining it, you're like, hey, you know, we should turn this into something. Same thing with Kansas City. Yeah, so I hope that works out for you. Aerodynamics is overrated. I know I'm going to lose some of my fuel mileage because of my new tires. They are really knobby. But I got what they call more regional tires. They got tires that are meant for the trucks that do 607 miles a day. Flat ground, you know, interstate, all that kind of stuff. And then they got the tires that are meant for, you know, lots of docks and turns and you know, and everything else. And I'm always worried more about tread depth, and traction in slippery situations versus fuel efficiency. By the way, this is going to be a long night because I have a floor-loaded deal, and I'm in the back of this facility, which is we're going to forget about you, Doc. So, a lot of people in here, but hardly anybody's talking. Nothing witty. Go to bed. We've been pretty successful at the fasting thing. I've been doing the 16 hours, no problem. I'm going to be trying to do the 24-hour fast twice a week. We got a lot of clean food this week. And no Big Rig CO to give me pizza. Let's rev the engine to 2,000 RPMs. That's smart. I ran 65 most of the day, only ran 75 the last 40 miles, got 6.3. Listening while driving, good deal. 6.3, that's pretty good. You know, to be honest with you, when I first got this truck, my fuel mileage was much better than my Peterbilt. However, I think all my IFTA reports averaged about 6.8 and 6.9. It was always lower than I thought. Woodchuck Trucking, Pantera, Metallica. Oh, man. I'm probably more on the Metallica side. I know Steve Berger might watch this and yell at me, but... And I think here's why. Bear with me on this. When Apnea was playing out the first 4, 5, 6 years of our, you know, playing out, we played with so many Pantera clones. It's not that I didn't like Pantera. I like Pantera just fine. Far Beyond Driven, by the way, is one of my favorite albums. However, every band was trying to sound like them. And I guess the same thing could be said for Metallica as well. But Pantera, like, Phil Anselmo, I'm just okay, you know, and and every lead singer tried to act like him, look like him, sound like him. It's like, and that's what burned me out. It wasn't Pantera that burned me out. It was everybody else being into Pantera that burned me out. So, but I'm more of a Metallica guy because you can't. They paved the road that Pantera was on. So, you know, there's that. So, I get 18 in my twin turbo big truck. No, you don't. You kind of woke me up saying my name. Now I'm wondering what you're wanting to say behind my back. I just don't want you to be all tired. When I was married, every day was like fasting. The ex-wife cooking was something else. Now you guys are coming in here. Phil can actually sing. Used to. Thanks for the input. My youngest is 17. Will be graduating high school next year. I talked to my wife. She is supportive in my decision. Well, Tim, that's half the battle. It's a lot harder when the wife's not on board and the kids are little. I had a very supportive wife. She came from a truck driver family, so she understood. The kids weren't babies, but they were definitely younger. And I do feel like I've missed a big part of their lives, but I really don't stay out that long. And that's the other thing. I really don't stay out that long. Even when I was a company driver, I was home every other weekend. Now, it might have been just a 34 at times. And so the biggest struggle for me was finding the right balance. And by me becoming an owner-operator, choosing my own destiny, that created a better platform for me to do that. But you got to work your way up to that. You got to work your way up to, you can't just like come out of CDL school and do what I'm doing, because number one, you become uninsurable for most owner-operator companies. But number two, you have to know a little bit about how lanes work, how hours of service work, how the country works. You have to know different parts of the country to realize what all that entails to do self-dispatch. Now, I've been to 47 states, and so I know this country fairly decently. Even though I run the same areas, I have been in Oregon, I have been in Washington, I have been in Maine, I have been in Florida, I have been in California even. And do I know California as well as I know Missouri? Absolutely not. Do I know Oregon as well as I know Oklahoma? No. But I modeled a lot of my running based off of how Transland had me run, both in their long haul division and their short haul division. Good night, nothing witty. I was lucky when I was young. I went on a lot of trips with my dad, so it seemed like it was natural in our house. Screaming Demon, that's what it was for me too. As a kid, I rode with my dad from the early 80s to the early 90s. I rode with him. And so I already kind of knew what I was getting into, and I would have done it earlier had it not been for the fact that I started a family and all that. I think that if I would have started trucking as soon as I was legally allowed to, I probably wouldn't have the blessed life that I have today, because as a truck driver, I probably would have become, I would have missed out on all the band stuff. And then I would have also not had a social life, and also probably my health would have went to crap 15 years before it did eventually. So it's a love-hate relationship, Tim. You know, my dad struggled with that. I struggle with that. Some days you love it, some days you don't. It's truly a love-hate relationship. You know, if I'm home too long, I get antsy. I need to get on the road. But if I'm on the road too long, I need to be home. And I think a big part of that is that's been a little bit easier. But I think a big part of that is because my kids are teenagers now. One's 19, the other one's 16, and so they got their lives. You know, they're no longer interested in riding in the truck with me or anything. And so when I come home, it's like, hey, Dad, what's up? You know, not like this big, huge greeting that I would get, when they were little. So I'm a widow with kids and made it long haul, traveling the U.S. and Canada. It's tough, and I take jobs at home when my boys need me. It's a hard life, but somehow satisfying. Trucker's Table, you're up late. This light's about to die, I bet. It's gonna die. Let's fix this here. There we go. Put on the brightest settings, how long it lasts. But this here's what trucking's done for me. Positively, it's turned me into a better man. I know that sounds weird, but a lot of the things I took for granted at home, I don't take for granted anymore. That's one part. Another part is because of how I'm running my business, it allows me a lot of freedom. Okay. The negatives have been my health. You know, I gained a lot of weight, but I lost it all too. I lost a lot of it. Not all of it, but a lot of it. And it really changes your perspective of this country. I had no idea how angry people were. I had no idea how uncourteous people were. And mind you, when I rode with my dad, we went to New York City and all of that. I grew up in some very urban areas. So it's not like I was... Sorry, I'm plugging in this light here. There we go. I don't know if that's going to help or not. It's a very short cord. There. That'll work. Put on the tablet here. There we go. That's not bad. And I had no idea how much our population exploded. I mean, there were cities that we go through that you always went through in a breeze, and now you have a traffic jam. Just made it to the receiver in Wisconsin. I started trucking when I had a kid. I had to put a roof over my family's head and food in their bellies. I didn't always do great, but my family was never homeless and I never missed a meal. And RD, that's important, because I know people that quit trucking because their kids wanted them off the road. And I almost quit because of my kids. But then I thought, you know what? I mean, in the old days, the father would go out and be the hunter-gatherer, and he'd be gone, for a long time. And, look at military families and what they deal with. And so what kind of message are we sending our kids if we just give up everything for them? Well, it doesn't do my kids any good if I'm unemployed and can't put food on the table. So they have to know what work is. Now, the good thing about by becoming a business person, my kids have seen me run a business now. And so like we watch Shark Tank and they actually love that show. And they're trying to think like little entrepreneurs a lot of times. And so that's kind of cool. It's trucking has taught me a lot about myself, but also has taught me how to, I don't know, not take things for granted. You know, there's a friend of mine who, she's got a YouTube channel. She hasn't done anything with it lately though, but she was talking about Route 66 baby. I don't know if you know who that is, but she was talking about, is it weird that I have trouble sleeping in my own bed instead of my truck? And I said, no, when you first start, it's weird going to bed at home without engine noises and the vibration of the truck or the vibration of the APU. That takes a minute to get used to. Why did you take a floor load with a late delivery? Great rate. Lines up with pickup tomorrow. It does. Lines up. I got an open window tomorrow. And tomorrow's an easy day, so and it won't affect my time tomorrow. This dude cannot slide his tandems. If your brakes don't hold when you're trying to slide your tandems, yeah, you need to fix that. Way up north. Hey, does anybody know if SFI will let me use my current truck running under my own authority? Twitch, that's a good question for GNC Family Trucking. He has a Snyder Finance truck and just got his own authority. So, I would call your SFI rep to see what they say. I mean, it's going to cost you a mint, but yeah, it could be done. I get that you need to decompress when you get home, right? Listen to that cat turbo whistle. RD, you want to see what this truck looks like? That's the truck. You gonna be in Springfield Friday? Well, I might be in Springfield Friday. I gotta pick up my new tool, my new toy that I bought. It's more EDC friendly. Than what I got now. That must be a glider. It probably is, RD. I know that Snyder was selling their old Columbia gliders for a long time. They had them lined up at the Atlanta yard and lined up at the Dallas yard. No, Terry, I'm not rich. You'll be in a rental vehicle. What do you mean, like a car? Are you going to Prime? Are you going to Prime, Big Houston? Daisy 26. No. I prefer the 19. Oh, okay. Terry, I'll send you a picture of it when it comes in. That's funny. Daisy 26. I got my son a Daisy BB gun, but he doesn't use it. Guess what guitar you brought with me? Well, I think the only thing I've seen you play is a Fender, right? Open an eye out, right? Jonathan, I don't think I can see that. You're sending it to the wrong deal. So I'll take a look at that after the live feed. Which guitar did you bring, RD? By the way, there's 4,000 people listening to Minneapolis on the Scanner Radio app. Les Paul, like a true Les Paul? Like you brought an actual like high dollar true Les Paul in the truck? You are one brave man, my friend. I like the airsoft guns. I like playing around with them. Oh, not a high dollar one? Well, that's good. Yeah, you don't want to bring a high dollar guitar into a truck. With all the beating and the temperature changes, it'll screw them up. I have one guitar that I brought on the road with me. It's that black pointy Son of Beast, Beastie Rich that I've played on live feeds. I have a gig bag for it. I had to special order it from a guitar center in Wisconsin. But I haven't brought a guitar with me in a long time. What kind of amp? Well, when I do the live feeds with the guitar, it's an Ibanez Tone Blaster, which it's an older amp. And then, but for the band, I have a PV Triple X full stack. So, well, I say full stack. One of the cabinets is for the PV Triple X, and the other cabinet is an Ampeg Vintage 30 Celestion speakers and an Ampeg 412. So I played the drums, have been since high school. Yes, I was a band geek, LOL. I know how to play drums. I mean, I'm not like, Jason Bonham or anything, but I do okay for like a light punk band. Yeah, Woodchuck, it's like, if you're new to my channel, I used to play in a band called Apnea, and we were pretty much a death metal band. I do sing some clean vocals here and there, but I play guitar. We tuned the low B with the 7-string, and we were together for 16, 17 years. I can't remember. We've opened up for a lot of bigger, well-known name bands that toured the area in Springfield, Missouri, and we held our own. I was part of the original metal scene in Springfield, and and so that's my history with music. Now, if you want to go and listen to some of the newer Apnea stuff, you'll hear an amazing drummer. Our drummer was pretty good. If you want, I will. Let's do this. I'll put a link up. There you go. Not pretty good. He's really good. Yeah. Well, I don't want to be like, we had the best drummer and down. No, I don't want to be that guy, but he is pretty good. And if he had a little ambition, he probably could have been another Richard Christie. He probably, if he had made some better decisions in his personal life, he'd probably be touring. Well, not now because of COVID world, but he'd be touring with some bigger, more well-known death metal band. I remember you also said he played along with Richard Christie. Richard Christie was in a band called Public Assassin. I got to jam with him once when we were trying out, when me and a bass player were trying out another drummer. He let us use his kit. But that's where I know Richard Christie from, and so the roots of Richard's drumming came from Public Assassin. That was the first real band he had been in. Public Assassin got some good gigs. They were kind of the originators of the extreme music in Springfield. When that band broke up, him and Steve Childers, the guitar player, moved to Florida. That's where Richard met up with Chuck Schuldiner, was able to join Death, and then that connection allowed him to be in some other bands like Iced Earth and all that. And then, once he was offered a spot on the Howard Stern show, then, his drumming career kind of not halted, but, he wasn't doing that full time anymore. And I imagine he'll go back to touring once Howard Stern's done. But Howard Stern keeps extending his contract with Sirius XM. And to be honest with you, I haven't listened to the Howard Stern show in a long time. It's kind of turned into like, not Richard. Richard's still funny, but Howard Stern himself has turned into this liberal agenda. I don't know. It's not a good show anymore. Raining in Tulsa. I have a Jackson Pro that I know how to play just well enough to piss people off. I'm going to bring it on the road with me when I go home on home time next month. Good deal, Twitch. Just make sure you got it well protected. I think Richard's waiting for a serious band, then he'd quit Howard, like King Diamond or something. I agree with that, Terry. I think that, well, he's got his kid now too, so that's kind of mellowed him out a little bit. But I think that if King Diamond, which is like one of his all-time favorites, called him up today, he would be like, okay. But I'm sure he's got a contract with Howard Stern. He can't just like quit. I used to keep up with Howard Stern when, just keep up with what Richard's doing. And by the way, what you hear on the Howard Stern show, that is not an act with Richard. That is truly his nature. He was doing weird pranks like he does on the show before he got paid to do it. I mean, he absolutely, there's not one fake aspect of Richard that you're seeing on the show at all. Like none of it. That is truly all him. He is the most genuine person on that show. I wish I could link Richard's movies. Ozzy is a huge fan of them. Yeah, you remember when he got Stuttering John's job? Yep. It's one of those 50s tributes that came out 4 or 5 years ago. Satin finish, gold top. It was 800s back then. Now I think they go for 12 to 15. That's still a high dollar guitar to bring on the road, RD. I don't know. The only Gibson I've ever owned, it was an Epiphone Gothic Les Paul. And that actually wasn't a bad guitar. I found it at a swap meet. It was brand new. It was like, I can't remember what I paid for it. I ended up selling it because when you're a school bus driver and you're not working during the summer, you tend to like go broke. So there's that. But it wasn't a bad guitar. It wasn't like my go-to, but I'm just a BC Rich fan. And I like Schecter's. I like ESP. Ibanez is hit and miss with me. You know, in these days, all these guitar brands have low line, lower level guitars, which are actually pretty good than what the lower levels used to be. But, you know, we live in a day and age where $200 gets you basically a fairly decent guitar. Yeah, if you want to see some early Richard Christie, look up I'm sure it's somewhere on YouTube. I think Terry, correct me if I'm wrong, didn't Count Z put some of that on YouTube? There's just search Evil Ned 3, Evil Ned. And then yeah. I'll have to find some. Look for a stealth thing on the wall, but they've got Terry. You can't. I mean, they're selling new stealths, and I want like, Mark Rizzo has a 7-string stealth that I wanted, and then there was a Chuck Schuldiner tribute stealth, but those are pricey. That's not a. But to find a used one, good luck. You're not going to find one. I played bass guitar for a little bit. I was okay. Good deal. Let's see if I can find an Evil Ned video. Search. Richard Christie Evil Ned. Yeah, I'm not seeing it. There's a lot of a lot of videos. Let's see, let's try Richard Christie movie. Yeah, it may not be out there. Terry, did you ever see that Richard Christie movie where it's like an actual B movie? It's like a legit movie about the albino farm. Those of you who don't know, in Springfield, Missouri, in that area, there's an urban legend called the albino farm. Well, they did a movie about it, and Richard Christie plays a preacher in it, like a creepy tent revival preacher. Did you ever see that, Terry? You just linked EvilNet 3? It's not going to let you post in here. A link here. Let me see if I can find it here. Evil Ned 3. Is that the one you're talking about, Terry? That one? Well, let's watch this for a second. Yeah, this is it. Okay. Copy link. All right, we got this. Paste. There you go. Your neighbors hate you when you're home. Folks, this is some Ozark Mountain Country kick horror at its finest. It is. um, the Richer movie you were talking about is called Albino Farm. Yep. What state is my truck plated in? Acceleration rules is Missouri. My IRP is through Missouri. Missouri makes it fairly easy. I know the first year was kind of a pain in the butt because I didn't know what I was doing, but once you get it, it was easy. You could do all of it online, and it's easy to get a hold of someone on the phone. That's the best part about it. The Hool, good morning. Man, I saw The Hool for the first time in James Best live feed the other day. Or the other night, I guess. It was a night drinking thing. $5:55 a.m. What state gets paid sales tax when you buy a truck? I don't know the answer to that question. I know in Missouri, we get tax exempt as long as you're, not a farm truck or a RV classification. Like if I want to go out and buy an old Peterbilt cab over, and it's not for commercial use, I'm gonna have to pay sales tax on it. So you have to fill out a tax exempt form. Now, where Missouri gets you is the property tax. My property tax is for my truck and trailer for my business is about $1,000 a year. It's probably going to be up higher because, Democrats, right? So, but other states have like the sales tax, but not usually most states have like a sales tax exemption. You going to work, the Hool? What state are you trying to buy a truck in, acceleration? That might determine a lot of things. And frankly, there's not a lot of YouTube information about IRPs. I did a video about the Missouri IRP, but it was all over the place. I hate it. I hate watching it because I'm like 50,000 pounds and my head's like this big. It was before I lost all my weight. No sales tax in Maine for vehicles? Yes. The truck was bought and registered under my LLC. Here in Illinois, they will tax you just for breathing. I finally had a question answered that I've had. So James Best has talked about how you can't hunt for deer in Illinois with a rifle. You have to use a shotgun. And I always thought, why is that? Dumb Illinois gun laws, And it was pointed out that, it's so flat and so open that, you shoot a deer with the 30-06 and you miss, who knows what the hell you'll hit. So, like, well, that makes sense. But yeah, I had to come up with a separate because I didn't want like my property taxes, personal property tax, to be mixed in with my commercial property tax. Because if you buy a $30,000 car for your own use, you're going to pay a lot less property taxes than a $30,000 dry van trailer. And so now, according to the state of Missouri, my trailer is worth more than my truck, which is kind of weird. But yeah, the last 3 years, my taxes have averaged about $900 to $1,000 for the business. You're taxed in Canada for everything. Look, here's the reality. Here's where our country's heading. California. Biden has actually said that we need to let California pave the way for our future. You want to look at what the future of America is in store? Look at California. John Stossel did a whole thing on this. And I was absolutely amazed that I suspected that was what was going to happen, but to actually declare it out loud, bizarre. We live in some bizarre times. I remember, Artie, when I used to use the term new normal and you hated that. I was right. By the way, Snore, I just ordered that book called The Obesity Code. My wife told me it came in today. Twitch, excellent. I hope you enjoy that book. It's really going to open your eyes on everything that has to do with diet and food and how it reacts to your body. You know, it's a shame. There was a time where I wanted to move to California. I was actually born in California. A lot of people don't realize that. I only lived there until I was like 3 years old. But there was a time where I wanted to live there. There was a time where I almost moved there. Back when I was fresh out of high school and thought that Springfield was so oppressive, man, and I'm so glad I didn't, because there was a time where California was a beautiful place before all the forest fires and the mudslides and the politics, and just absolutely, you want to see what the country's going to look like in 10 years. Just look at California, Seattle, San Francisco, Los Angeles, all of that. That's coming your way to a town near you. Logistically Disturbed. Good to see you tonight. But Twitch, I hope you enjoy that book. I really have, and I'm glad I got it, both physical and Audible. Oregon's a beautiful state, but Portland ain't not so much. Washington is a beautiful state. Seattle, not so much. So it's kind of interesting. Illinois is kind of like this too. When you go into the rural areas, like Illinois is a fairly conservative state, except for Chicago. Washington is fairly a conservative state, except for Seattle. Oregon is fairly a conservative state, except for Portland. California was a conservative state. When you look at some of the governors they have, like Reagan or Schwarzenegger, but I don't know, something happened and it just went to crap. Dang, RD. And what I've mounted it to is that when you get too many people in one place, that's when it sucks. And that's kind of what's happening. Illinois is a great rural area, except for when you're in the big cities. Same thing with Texas. Texas is kind of the same way. Dallas is becoming more liberal as time goes on. And like, if you guys have been to that pilot over there off of 35W, that field, when you're looking from the parking lot, looking across the interstate, that field used to be a field. Now it's like, looks like hundreds upon hundreds of subdivision houses. And it's like, that wasn't like that when I first started driving. And I've only been driving like 11 years, 10, 11 years. It's crazy how much Dallas has grown in just a short period of time. Best 80s action star, Arnold Schwarzenegger or Sylvester Stallone? Oh, man. That's a tough one. Because they both have their good moments and they both have their bad moments. Like, I love Conan the Barbarian. That's like one of the ultimate movies. But I also like all the Rocky movies. I think that Sylvester Stallone is a better actor. But then you can't take away Schwarzenegger's like what he did for the Terminator and you know, the ex-army shoot 'em up movies, they were both cheesy. You know, the First Blood was good, but after that it's just like whatever. But the Rocky movies, the first two, a little bit of the third, and a little bit of the newest one, the Rocky Balboa, those have some depth to them. They're pretty good. But Arnold Schwarzenegger is a pretty, you know, the interviews I've heard with him on Howard Stern have been really good. I mean, he's a very smart individual. If he could run for president, I would vote for him, but he can't. So. Houston is hell, I agree. Steven Seagal, no. Thoughts on that Kenworth dealer in Joplin? Johnny, that's where I bought my truck. Now, the sales guy that I used is no longer there. He retired, but they didn't do me any wrong. I got a good truck. So I've never had any work done there. So now as far as sales guys go, I've yet to find a good salesperson like the one that sold me this truck. Irony, Rambo Stallone is a draft dodger. Brother, once again, I'm driving when you're live. I pulled over to text and say hello. Love your feeds. Keep on trucking. Stay safe. Well, thanks, Logistically Disturbed. I'm glad I could entertain you this evening. TMC has good used trucks. Yes, they've got a yard there in Joplin. I would have no issues buying a TMC truck other than its midroof. But back when they were selling their big hooded black Pete's, I kind of wanted one because they were shorter wheelbase, so they wouldn't have been as difficult as like some of these custom trucks. But TMC takes care of their trucks. They're the only dealer I could find with the T680 S Cummins and automatic. Are you going to buy a truck, Johnny? Well, Johnny, any port in a storm, man. Trucks are getting harder and harder to find. You know, Spectre and James Best were talking about that this morning. Freight Waves was talking about the whole semiconductor shortage. There's a lot of trucks that aren't being built right now, so kind of like the trailers, demand for used trucks right now are pretty high, so you're going to pay a little bit more for them. But if they're the only ones with the 680 Cummins, I would have no issues with Joplin. Do you like the old Autocar diesel semi from the Sylvester Stallone movie Over the Top? Yeah, I mean, that was a day cab. Over the Top is probably one of the worst trucking movies. in the sense that he was over-the-road driver in a sleeper truck. I mean, you know, back in the 60s and 70s, that might have been the case, but I don't really remember much of the truck, but it was just kind of a plain Jane kind of truck. Camped out in Joplin tonight. Wish you luck. Okay, good luck. Ninjas in the house. Watch out for the lizard, Sacco. My next truck I'll be driving is a 2022 Peterbilt 579 with a 13-speed manual and 70 miles on the odometer. Good deal, Big Houston. So is that why you're going to Springfield? I've been in the Matt's. They had the new 579 Ultra Loft, like what Thor got. It was blacked out. It had the extra dynamic stuff. It was kind of it was a nice truck. It was basically their version of the 680. I wouldn't mind that truck. That's a good truck. Got plunked by a doctor today. Pushed that CPAP scam on me. I'm done with company driving. Oh, okay. You were in Joplin a few hours ago. I'll be in Joplin tomorrow. I might get some detention on this load tonight. My appointment was at 10. And there was one time it was a 6-hour unload. Last time, though, it was only a 3-hour unload. So I didn't even charge the broker on it. Is there a difference between the Great Dane and utility semi-trailers? When it comes to trailers, there's really not much difference. Christian Trucker, if you follow him on YouTube, he did a video about the differences of different trailers, because when he was looking to buy his own trailer, you know, he was at Schneider, and Schneider had Hyundais, Wabash, Great Danes. I don't think they had any utility. Now, a lot of my friends had utility, like Yeti had a utility trailer. I think Spectre has a utility trailer. There's somebody else. Oh, Harold had a utility trailer. I've got a couple of friends with utility trailers. They like them. I really don't have a preference, so it goes to the dealer. And if you need any warranty work done, which dealer is near you, that's going to make that easy. That's it. Now, Hyundai, you're not getting a new trailer. I had heard that you can't even order one until 2023. That's how backed up they are. And if you're going to buy a new trailer right now, you are going to pay out the yin yang, and you probably won't get it till December. But as far as the differences go, I really don't have a preference. I'd have to just take a look. I mean, like I said, I've pulled every kind of trailer there is as far as brand. You know, Landstar had Vanguard, Wabash, Great Dane, they had all of them, and then Schneider had a lot of them too. So whatever I didn't pull at Landstar, I pulled at Schneider. Now Schneider, they're all spring ride. You know, Landstar, they were air ride. And what I have now is a Strick, which is probably the only Strick I'll ever buy. I mean, not that it's been a bad trailer, but there's some elements of it I don't like over a utility. I would probably go with the utility, Ivan, if I had to absolutely choose. How long to totally complete the sale and drive off the lot? Johnny, it just depends on how fast they can get financing. So depending on who you're financing through, that's your biggest hurdle. If the financing goes through, you can get it insured. You could drive it off the lot in that day, but you know, it might take a day or two at least, if not, you know. Got a crash, everyone. Just wanted to drop in and say hi, stay safe. All right, Twitch, have a good night. Yeah, and that Big Houston says, Great Dane trailers are heavy. That's the thing that Christian Trucker talked about. He said, you know, he talked about which trailer he got better fuel mileage with, what trailer rode better, what trailer was the heaviest. He kind of went all scientific with it, so seek that video out. What's happening, Nevada? RD is randomly saying his name. But just depends on the financing, Johnny. Now, signing on with your company or wherever you're going to take it, that's a different story. That could take a minute. Where are you planning on putting that truck, if you want to say? Oh, RD has a utility. Well, I didn't know that. For reals, Johnny? Is that true, or are you pulling my leg? As much as James Best yells at you? Wife's birthday, just got back from a nice dinner, doing some light bars on the boat, enjoying some home time and some Corona, not the COVID kind. Well, good deal, Nevada. Tell your wife happy birthday from all of us here at YouTube. Signing on with, if that's legit, Johnny, then that it won't be a long process at all. So it just depends on the financing. I'd rather pay James than anyone else. Well, you know, I will say this about James Best. He will, what you see on YouTube is what you get. I mean, that's he's a pretty honest person when it comes to revealing everything about his life, and so he's not going to pull over any fast ones on you. He's not going to scam you. He's not going to do any of that. And by working side by side with one of his contractors when I was running the Joplin stuff, he was happy with him. So, and James is always happy to help. So, you know, that could be a good thing. Jeff hates you. I think dual tires are better than super singles because if a tire explodes on a dual, you still have the other tire that's good to drive on that was paired with the exploded one. Ivan, you're absolutely right. I mentioned that in one of my vlogs. You know, if you're on a look, I'll put this out here right now. It is illegal to move a truck with a flat tire down the road. Okay, you always hear about people limping it somewhere. That is illegal. However, let's say you're in a construction zone, 1-lane construction zone, or you're on a 2-lane road with no shoulder, and you blow a super single, boom, you're done. You put your 4-ways on, you're putting triangles on, and you might be calling the state police to make sure that, you know, they can block while the tow truck comes and takes care of your tire. Or not tow truck, the tire place. You're stuck in the middle of the road. Whereas a dual, you blow a tire on a 2-lane road, you get it to a safe place, You can do that. Now, super singles generally cost anywhere between $1,000 and $1,500. So let's go with the low. I think I paid $1,100 for a Goodyear once when I had super singles. So if you blow a super single on the interstate, you have to pull over, number one. Number two, service call is minimum $350. Number three, the tire is going to be about $1,100. Number four, you probably more than likely, if you blew it while going fast, you're going to need a new rim. So that's an extra $700. So one blowout, one tire, super single on the road could cost you up to $2,000 just to repair the tire. It's pretty. So you can save fuel savings, with super singles. Yeah, that goes out the window with one blowout. And why anybody would put super singles on a trailer is beyond me. Never would I put super singles on a trailer. It would be cool to work for OTJB. I would love crashing his lives. I stopped over and had breakfast with James Sunday. Okay, good deal. Wife says thank you. When I blew a super single once, but it was in a parking lot as I was backing up. And when it was probably low, and I didn't realize it. And so when I went to turn, it kind of, that, when I was under a heavy load, I kind of like crunched the tire and it blew. So I ended up having to drop my trailer right there in the middle of the parking lot. I was at this mom and pop abandoned truck stop. And Steve Berger actually showed up the next day. Before he was at Schneider. He actually dropped his trailer, moved my trailer into a spot while I waited for the road truck to service. And that was a $1,500 service call. And when I called, they said the first question they asked me was, "Do you need a new rim?" And I said no. She's like, "Are you sure?" I said, "No, I blew this in the parking lot." She's like, "Okay." 99% of the people that blow a super single on the road need a new rim. I got pulled over by Arizona State Trooper because I had a blown tire, didn't know it. I told him I would go down to the tire shop and get it fixed. He started coming unglued about how I couldn't do that. He didn't find it amusing when I told him it'd be okay. I had 17 more. Did he give you a ticket though, RD? I bought James a huge bottle of Knob Creek. Be watching for a video soon. My version of producing YouTube videos. He hasn't done a Knob Creek blitzed video in quite a while. It's all been beer based. That was pretty cool though. They're raising all that money for Country Time. That was a good deal, man. They should just sell super singles and wheels as a package. Pretty much, yeah. Look, I didn't mind my super singles. I just didn't like the fact that if I blew a tire in the middle of the interstate or middle of a 2-lane road, that there was nowhere to go. No ticket, just made me call the tire shop out. I remember when I was at Transland, I blew a tire. We pulled into this grocery store. We were in Jackson, Mississippi. I had a trainee with me. And so I called Transland up, say, "Hey, I got a flat tire. You need to send someone out." And they're like, okay. So I get a call later. "Hey, we need you to go to the shop. It's only like a mile down the road." Well, that 1 mile was actually 10 miles. And it was not in a truck-friendly neighborhood. Now, here's the kicker. Once I was there, they still had to use the portable truck because their garage wouldn't fit me. And I was telling another driver about that, and he came unglued because, man, I can't believe they put your CDL at risk, and, you know, it's your ticket, da-da-da-da-da. He goes, never, ever as a company driver, tell them or let them tell you to keep driving to a shop. Because all you're doing is putting yourself at risk to save them, you know, the service road call. So, I'm stuck in a rental car with all my gear from previous truck. Now, does the sales guy know you're coming down to look at this truck? I mean, is it like a date set up that you've got going on? By the way, I appreciate you guys watching. So, you know, you could be watching Minneapolis protest live feeds right now, but here's something interesting. If you Google riots, nothing but Capitol and Trump stuff will come up. But if you search protests, then the Minneapolis stuff will pop up. If you search on DuckDuckGo riots, the Minneapolis stuff will show up. Just a little side note. I think we're going to call it an evening. Late night coffee. Thank you, Terry. I am almost done. This is Pilot coffee. I haven't had Pilot coffee in a while. It's actually not bad. Man, I haven't played guitar in a long time. That was fun, but my fingers are starting to hurt. RD, one of the best things I ever did for my guitar playing was play bass. When I switched to a 7-string, my hand was always cramping up, my fret hand. And then a friend of mine said, "Hey, we need a bass player. Can you fill in?" I'm like, "Sure." So at one point, I was in 3 bands. I was playing guitar and vocals for Atme. I was playing bass for a band called Forever Shadows, and I was playing drums for a band called Backhoe Butchery. And by playing the bass, my hand got actually stronger, so it never cramped up after that. So playing bass can really help your guitar stuff. What happens if your truck breaks down but you don't have money to pay the tow truck? Ivan, that would be a bad situation. I don't know. I've heard of that happening. Basically, you would probably still get your truck towed, but they're going to hold it hostage till you can pay the bill. So either that or you have to come up with some finance deal. But if you can't even afford a tow, then you've got other issues going on. I mean, I'm not trying to sound conceited or anything like that, but you know, a tow bill can cost you anywhere from $2,000 to $5,000. There are some states like Arkansas and Ohio that they cannot tow a tractor trailer together. They have to tow them separately. So now you're paying for 2 tow trucks. One's a regular truck that pulls your trailer, and the other one's the tow truck that pulls your tractor. So I need to tell my wife I need to buy a bass so I can play guitar better. Nice. There you go, RD. See? Now you're thinking. You should lease on to someone who's got your back financially. If okay, so let's talk about that. So now we're getting some conversation going. So we'll stick around here. One of the perks of why I went to Landstar when I did was because all I had to do was make it 90 days. And after that probationary period, if I needed help with the repair, they would help. Okay. Come to find out that Landstar will only do that 2 or 3 times before they go, hey man, you need to get your shit together. Okay. If you have, a lot of these guys, make fun of the lease operators. Oh, I can't believe you get a Snyder finance truck. I can't believe you do a lease thing at Prime. But when you sign on with a company like that, like Prime or Snyder, well, I mean, if you have a Snyder finance truck, I didn't have the same perks as the Snyder finance guy did, but they would cover that note until you paid them back. So if you had a big repair and warranty didn't cover it, that's why a lot of these big mega carriers only will lease you fleet trucks that have warranties on them. But warranty doesn't cover tow bills. If so, Nevada, I disagree. I agree, but I disagree at the same time. And here's what I mean. So, like, if somebody signs on with say like trucking, okay, and they're a month into it, they didn't run that hard, and all of a sudden they have a tow bill and they can't afford it. Is it right for Jeff to take the risk? And you can look at it 2 ways. Jeff could take the risk and pay for that repair and hope that the guy sticks around. Or he can look at it like, well, if I pay for this repair, he has no choice but to run for me. And that's where a lot of these companies get you. Oh yeah, we'll pay for your. It's kind of like a loan shark. Well, yeah, we'll pay for your repair, but now you're kind of trapped here. So you don't put yourself in that position to where that's an issue. I came out when I became an owner operator. I only put $2,000 down on my truck, and so I looked out there because it was supposed to be 4, but the bank screwed something up. So they were like, that's on us. So we're going to pay that down payment. And then I had a $20,000 credit card that could cover most things if anything went wrong. And plus I had a warranty on the truck. It was only a year, but still. And so if a tow bill happened tomorrow, I could cover it. That was I wouldn't have done it any other way. And so that's what I mean. A lot of people ask me questions that I wouldn't even put myself in that situation because of the research I've done, and it's kind of common sense. So there wouldn't be a situation where I couldn't afford a tow. Now, if it's something extreme, like I saw a tow bill on Facebook where it was like $40,000, but it was a wreck and a hazmat spill. So that was all on the so the insurance company covers that. If you have a wreck, the insurance company is going to cover the tow. Absolutely correct. One thing on a new truck I just specifically said does not cover tow. Insurance covers tows if you have tow coverage. RD, I agree. If you have your own authority, there are some insurance companies that give you a towing option. I've yet to find a company for my bobtail with that option. A lot of guys have stuck it to small carriers by not paying back what they owe. That is absolutely true, RD. I had a small service truck, and as a company driver, I offered to pay for it and did. Probably why my guy is the way he is in my circumstance. Yeah, it goes down to the person. I'm sure that if a guy's running hard and he's one of Jeff's top contractors, he might be persuaded, but like if one what a lot of people don't realize is, like, most companies give you a cash advance option when you get fuel. If you are constantly getting cash advances off your fuel, a lot of companies, even though they offer it, they frown on that. That's kind of a gauge for them. They kind of gauge how you run your business based off of that. That time I had to get towed a Y to cover my toe. Well, that's good. This is a serious question. When you guys shop insurance, is there full coverage or is it not practical? Yes, you get full coverage. But they're only going to give you what they think the truck is worth. So, like, if I totaled this truck, they're going to go, well, let's see what the market value of a 2014 T680 is going to be. Oh, wow, they're only going for $15,000. Here you go. Have a nice day. Or they'll pay off the loan. That they're, so you break even. You don't get any money extra. Now, that's why a lot of these companies, if your payoff, let's say your payoff is 20 grand on a truck, they want you to insure it to 20 grand. Because they want at least, a lot of these banks want at least that covered if something was to happen to the truck. But if you get a 20 grand policy and your truck's only worth 10, they're only going to give you 10. They're not going to give you more. At least that's how I understand it. I could be wrong. I probably am wrong. I'm wrong a lot. But I do know that I have heard of people that get their trucks totaled, most of the time no fault of their own, and they have to scrape for down money, down payment money. Now, if you get gap insurance, that's a different story. Owner told me a story about guys always asking for advance Monday when they just got paid Friday. Drug test show cocaine use. Yeah, I mean, a company will judge you for using those cash advances. Now, Landstar was a little bit different because we had two com data cards. One was payroll and the other one was fuel. And so instead of using ATM, it was just cheaper to get a cash advance for my food money for the week. Well, if we got no more questions, I think I'm going to end this feed. I'm just going to go in the back and grab a nap. Maybe turn on the scanner radio, see what's going on in Minneapolis. But I appreciate you guys watching. It's late. Good night, Snorelord. Thanks for the input. I have my CB on at home, and in my Silverado, try me on 19 when on 64 going through Bearview Heights, Illinois. All right, Tim. Have a good night. In regards to insurance, is it like car where full coverage is twice the cost? No, truck insurance works different. I don't know the exact differences, but you can, like, full coverage. Like, for example, my truck's paid off, right? I don't want to leave myself a situation where I don't have another truck, or I don't have, let's say my payoff, I got my payoff at 10, like I got my coverage at 10,000, right? So I totaled my truck. They're going to give me at least 10,000 if that's what the coverage I got. I believe the coverage I got is 15 or 20. I can't remember. That's enough for down payment for the next truck. But it's not like it's going to buy me a new truck. And that's the thing. It works differently for different states and different trucks. RD's insurance is much higher than mine, simply because of the coverage that his bank probably requires him to have on that Peterbilt. Anyways, guys, I'm yawning a lot. It's time for me to go to bed. So, have a good night. Thanks for watching. Terry, thanks for the super chat. And, yeah, stay safe. Peace.